we own.
Yeah, definitely the same.
Cool. So, hey, what we're going to do, we're going to look up some veteran-owned set-asides today,
yes,
right, John?
Veteran-owned set-asides. What the goal is to be able to look at the right agencies and NAICS codes for a service-disabled veteran-owned set-aside with only personal past experience, right? Something that allows me at a lower cost point to get in with the government, right? This is more for the veteran. This is very similar to a lot of my peers who are going to be service-disabled veterans when the only thing that they have is military experience and maybe some civilian jobs, but no actual past performance with the government. So this is
all right. So we want, okay.
Yeah, this will help.
The past performance stuff, I'm not sure I'm going to be able to get that out of the spending, but we would have to do something looking at solicitations. But what we're trying to do is basically narrow our focus a little bit with which agencies are utilizing the most service-disabled vets.
Yes.
Right. And then we want NAICS code information in there.
Yeah. And then I will craft and modify my because you can always pivot, but my initial contracts, my initial ends into the government will be focused on these NAICS codes that the government says they've purchased over however many years.
Right. Okay. So NAICS code agency, do we want, no, let's not add place yet. So, all right. So we're in the SAM data bank. I'm building a new report from scratch.
Okay.
Mode. So I got agency, I got NAICS code, and then what I'm going to do is look for the, this is why it's kind of challenging because there's so many different set-asides, right?
Yeah.
That we need to find the service-disabled one. But there's like, Native Hawaiian owned. I think there's other minority. School forestry. Yeah, there's also, when you look at this stuff, it really blows my mind the amount of stuff in there. All right. So we got SDVOSBs.
Correct.
All right. So we are going to add funding. Let's add total contract value for now. Okay. So funding amount, that's the actual money that's available to be spent. These are inclusive of like option years that may not ever get exercised. So that's kind of the big ceiling value. All right. So we want to go and get only service-disabled vets. So we need to go down into the attribute. And then I want to equals to be yes or no. Yep. We want yes. So this is going to tell SAM.gov to only give us service-disabled veteran-owned business if it's yes. So it's basically, 0, 1, yes and no.
Yeah.
And then we wanted under $1 million. Is that what we wanted?
Yes. That
okay.
The reason why I'm looking for under $1 million is less risk for the government for a new vendor to come in. Right. So
1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. All right. So that should be $1 million, but that's greater. So we want less than $1 million. Now, that's dollars funded. So these might not be very big. They might be like 5-year contracts for $200K each, but hey, all right, let's just do SDVOSB. I got to label these every time I run them. JK, that'll be for you. All right. So we got to do this. And then we go back to the report. Now it's saved in my bloody mess of other reports I have in this thing. But all right, so once this is running, let's think of some other details that would be helpful. Okay, so we got agencies, NAICS codes, everything's a yes here. Let's just sort this by obligated dollars. Okay, that makes sense. The highest amount is
million
right at it. So P-score, we can download this. Do we want to use that threshold?
So if I go above, if I'm in between the $1 million and $5 million, it's just the partnerships. I have strategic partner. I have,
let's make it a little higher because I think we're limited to I think 1,500 pages in here.
Okay.
We can get let's try 10 million.
All right, Take it up to 10.
Yeah, let's take it up to 10 because again, I don't we can also filter that in Excel, right?
Yeah, we can take it to 10. It's that will allow me, like, for an example, I mean, as you know, I'm already an aggressive enough service disabled veteran owned small business trying to win in any possible way I can. And so when I go to Philadelphia next month and there's maybe some transportation or logistics NAICS codes, then I can potentially partner or start the groundwork for commercial entities that want to get into the government. And hey, here's a 5-year, $10 million contract that would give you the experience if we partner together, right? I'm like, okay, cool. What do we need to do? Sure. Right.
You know, I just realized I wasn't sharing my screen, dude.
I mean, I knew you were recording, so I figured, okay.
Whoops. All right. Well, say la vie. All right. So you didn't see any of that, what I just reported on. But that's okay. So I moved the filter up to 10 million or under 10.
Right.
So we got a lot more contracts in here filtered by. So what other things would be helpful for you in this report?
I mean, that's
so
what is that contracted agency name? I think that's fine. I don't need to go down into the subs, right? Like the subs would be good, but you know.
Well, I think you do. And the reason for that is take a look at, so this is something I've been kind of working on trying to map out. Like let's take VA, right?
Yeah.
That's a big agency that would probably be good. So VA has all these different contracting offices.
Right.
It's all one department. It's the same thing. But how many contracting offices does it have? Shoot. I mean, a lot.
Yeah.
So I think, because again, these are the people who are going to be the actual buyers.
Yeah.
Well, the contracting officers, the buyers will be a different kind of matter.
But it's still I guess that's a good office to go to, right? If I'm going there and I see the contract office, I can maybe go one step above, find that small business, development. What they call it? USA Bud.
OSDBU.
Yeah, OSDBU. Find the OSDBU for that contracting office, right? That will help create those relationships. And then what also helps is industry days and things like that, going, hey, I'm only going to go talk to blah blah blah, and that's it, right? That's who I'm here to talk
to. All right, so I think but if we do that with this report, we're going to get a ton of them. So what we can do, so these are all the contracts under 10 million, right? Don't need the pennies. Who cares?
How many fiscal years did you do?
I think I did from like 2020, so it'd be like 3.5-ish, right?
Yeah.
Let's just do the top 10.
Yeah.
Okay. DLA, Air Force, Army, FAST, that's the GSA.
Yeah.
FAA, Forest Service, VA.
Yeah.
The VA, it looks like all the DoD agencies are, and that makes sense, right? Because they would have a propensity to award.
They do, but when as you're training new or businesses that are getting in, like, I want to go after the DoD, when as a current DoD contractor, when you say that to me, I think the Office of the Secretary of Defense.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's how I think. Like, people say the DoD. I know what the DoD breakdown is. When you say I want to go after the DoD, to me, you're saying you want to be at my physical employees' addresses, 3000 Army or Navy Marine Corps Drive, Pentagon. Right? Each branch gets its own designator at the Pentagon. And basically, you're telling me you want to be at the 5th floor and work for the Office of the Secretary of Defense. That's what you've just said as a new business, right? Hey, I make this great widget and I'm going to sell it to the DoD. Okay, so you want to sell it to the Secretary of Defense, right? That's what you just told somebody like me. No, I really want to sell this widget to da 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 da. Oh, you want to sell it to the Department of Navy in the shipbuilding office. That makes more sense, right? That's how I think, right? You know what I mean? When I'm in classes with David O'Neill. And the group that I'm with, the the minority-owned Maryland Association classes. I broke that down to them the other day ago. I said, you guys need to target the agency. Don't just say I want the DOD or the VA or I want USDA. What do you want? Do you want the forestry department in USDA? Do you want VA hospitals? Do you want, the Army and the Navy? You know what I mean? That's just how you break. That's how you break down.
Yeah. The other thing too. So I just did a different type of sort using just the 5.4 NAICS codes.
Yeah.
So you had a couple ones like let's cherry pick.
Let's do,
because then the data it might report different data for us, right?
Yeah, let's do 541.619. That's other than computers. I have a handful.
None of those are showing up. How about I do all the ones under 1.6 or 1.6.1?
Okay, let's do that.
Because that one. So then we get a different story, right? Like looks like patent trademark. So DOD probably doesn't use those codes as much as some of the other more civilian.
Right.
You got TSA, Federal Motor Carrier State. I don't even know. Never heard of that one.
It looks like it's an office underneath the either DOT. Yeah, it looks like a DOT office.
Well, but it's its own standalone, right?
Oh.
Because this is at the top level. This is the agency. So
okay.
Let's take a quick look-see, though.
I mean, look, you got the Department of Air Force, but we know that falls under DOD, right? You know what I mean? So, and then you got Defense, the Threat Reduction, DETRA, Federal Transit Administration, FTA.
Federal Motor. Hold on a second. I just want to see what's underneath this Federal Motor. Yeah, you're right. It is under DOT, but why is it a separate? Government stuff is so weird.
Yeah, so it's the contracted department is Department of Transportation, but the contracting agency.
Yeah, maybe I screwed it. Maybe I thought the hierarchy was agency, department.
Yeah,
maybe it's department, agency, contract.
It's department, agency, then contractor.
Oh, well, I've had it backwards for all these years, huh?
No, you're good. You're good. Like this is John King spending many of ours, their spare time in between, just looking at the various agencies across the thing. Like, because what the influencers will tell you online is like, go get a government contract, but then not tell you everything that requires to get it.
Make it rain, be a middleman, be a flipper.
Yeah, and even the people that I'm in classes with, and they still very generically, and I'm like, all right, well, I want to work for NIH.
Mm-hmm.
NIH belongs to who? I don't know. NIH belongs to I think it belongs to HHS, right? And then you need to find that office. So it's not complicated. It is a process, and you have to be willing to go through the process to be successful. For all those who won contracts early and they figured it out, they got a good contract, good on you. I mean, I'm hats off to you. But for somebody like myself and other veterans and maybe even civilians that were in the government, like, there are ways for us to get in. This is what this tool is going to do is help my people that I'm working with and strategic partners go, here are the top agencies that want service disabled veteran owned set aside. You're not a veteran owned set aside. We can partner together and go get it. Or you are like one of my strategic partners is one state, local, and commercial. He spent 5 years trying to get in the federal government. We can go, all right, here are the agencies we're going to go attack. All right, we go to those industry days. We look for the RFPs. What I'm preparing myself is for the fourth quarter, right? Come July, like, not to get political, but we know by June 1, they're going to raise the debt ceiling. However they do it.
They better.
Right? However they do it, they're going to raise the debt ceiling. When those floodgates open come July, agencies are going to be spinning like it's going out of style because they don't know what's going to happen in October. So I'm preparing myself to be able to catch one of those. I'm not going to call it, a rushed to RFP and a rushed to meet their small business set-asides, especially service disabled set-asides. That last year when I did it, I wasn't completely knowing how it worked. No, I knew how it worked outside the government, inside as a former buyer, I knew how it worked. I didn't know how it worked as a vendor going out to buyers. Does that make sense?
Vendor going out to buyers.
I'm a former buyer. I am a former purchaser in the military.
Mm-hmm.
I understood it from that. Becoming a contractor vendor, going back to the buyers is where the gap. This is what I spent the year learning the gap.
Right. I mean, you didn't like being bombarded with, hey, this is my capability statement and all this stuff. You wanted to have an actual need for it before.
Right. I'd write I would help the contracting officer. Like if we had a need and we had it in our budget, I would help with the statement work, the solicitation portion. I need X company to go do this as a buyer. Right. And so as a vendor, former buyer going, I think this is how it works. That's not necessarily how it worked, right? Like I was very close on a few contracts, but that, didn't understand pricing, didn't understand like labor laws, all of those little things. And I was going to be outbid every time because, I put some guesstimates together and did use science like you guys use the science and the data to drive those cost, to drive the cost.
So this one is, I've noticed that I do these saved searches now and it sends me an email like every time there's an update, which is really freaking cool. So this one right here, I just did give me all the sources sought and pre-solicitations, the pre-award, the market research phase, right? And then the solicitation and combined synopsis solicitation strictly for SDVOSBs, strictly for North Carolina.
Right.
And I got about 24 of them. Some of these actually I've been looking at, like the vehicle escort service at Camp Lejeune. Like that seems like something, you can form a team to go after that.
I need to take a look at that one. I know you dropped that yesterday for LinkedIn. Is that solicitation? Is that sources sought for that one?
It's I think it was a combined. Or it's updated. So it's been out. It was only released, looks like a couple of days ago. Yeah, it was only released like this week. So it's due in 2 weeks or so, June 5th. Let's take a look at the requirement. Fixed price, 100% set aside. That's the NACE code. So it looks like there was an amendment, past performance questionnaire. So that's always kind of the biggest impediment, right?
Yeah.
Let's see what that has to say here.
Yeah. So that's where I would jump in with some past.
But what's the scope of it? I guess we got to look at the solicitation for that, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So someone is asking questions. Oh, there is an incumbent. Okay. So we would look at the incumbent, look at the old RFP and figure out what the kind of the budget ought to be. Looks like it's wage determination there. So that's another consideration. So you may not want to, I wouldn't mess with the SCA stuff right now because it's a PITA. And, but yeah, again, there's a couple different ways, like, we've talked about studying the actual spending with whatever criteria you want, targeting those agencies. And then at the same time, look for the front end, look for the opportunities that are coming out within your own parameters, right? You can target specific agencies and only get opportunities coming out of there. So you can create as many searches as far as I know.
Yeah, you can do unlimited search, or at least I had to delete all of my searches because I just had too many searches going on.
Yeah. So it's really big incumbent upon saving them the right way. And then for some reason I started getting them in emails.
Yeah, you will. You'll get, well, if you've highlighted a solicitation, whenever it updates, you'll get an email. Like when I was tracking solicitations for whatever thing I was tracking for, you can see your competition. The government will release like data, like XYZ company is interested, and that's the update. So like so here's one of the ones I ran, right?
and I got to remember exactly how I did it, but I pulled this up, and this is where I was looking at some of those ones.
Yeah.
To kind of augment that other report that my buddy's SaaS company, my GovTracks, shout out to Lake and Kennedy, boom.
Okay.
But it basically, takes this data and it makes it look really pretty and putting it into a fluid PDF report with the hyperlinks, which is nice. But I get this email and I look at it, I'm like, oh, all of these are really good. So now I'm just trying to basically network with people who are in telecom.
Yeah.
Or can build phones and like lock rooms. Now, these ones drive me nuts that they're in SAM.gov because this is restricted to some people already on an IDIQ.
Yeah.
So it's a waste of time to throw it on SAM, in my opinion, because they should just send it to the email list of the 8 bidders or whatever.
They send it to the bidders that are already certified in that.
Yeah, shoot. I may just email and be like, hey, would y'all stop that? Because it's annoying, and there's a lot of them in there that
so that's the one thing, like if you solicit, what I've been told is can you solicit with a spending code so it's easier for your customer to buy it, like here's my spending code, this is where I fall under. Oh, okay, then I can just
this is a SDVOSB. Okay. It's funny because I actually sent this to a friend of mine who sells mattresses.
Okay.
But I didn't realize I don't believe he's a veteran, but I think he can definitely do the job. So it might be good to introduce you guys.
Yeah, let's do that. Because if we can win as like a team or a JV, let's do that.
Where did it go? No, you don't want to do a JV. Don't do JVs. Not right now. That's just overly complicated. In my opinion, some people swear by them, but I'm not a fan. But I've never worked on one that was actually a good deal for either of the parties. But hey,
then maybe a teaming agreement where I absorb his past performance.
Yeah, exactly. I mean and you would give him like, depending on.
Yeah, we've do the share cost, like if we win.
You would drive the trucks back, or I don't know exactly, but we've got to worry about that excessive pass-through kind of deal. But, but anyway, so yeah, it's.
If it's service disabled and you got a client that has experience in mattress, then let's go. Let's link up. All right, let's link up. Like if it's a simple win, it's past performance, so you can, the government doesn't want to. The government tells you this in their industry days. Your past performance, we can see you in the system, and then we can say, okay, well, we know that you've had past performance in these NAICS codes, and now, well, we trusted you, so we can trust you in this NAICS code, right? So they acknowledge their own internal like past performance, if that makes sense to you.
Yeah, it does. And this one I keep seeing up here that I'm not really sure what this work, command maintenance evaluation and training. It's kind of nebulous services to me, and I'm really been.
What is this comment? So it's logistics, Fort Bragg. I've seen it somewhere else, and it's service disabled.
It's been out a long time.
Yeah, I've seen it. I just didn't.
And again, so that's the beauty of these things too. Like call the people now, but that's a thing. Going back to your experience from the government, when you would get calls randomly, but these guys should be willing to.
I've talked to John before because there was another one that I pursued. Well, I was this close to pursuing, but the teaming agreement that I got into or attempted to get into with this company backed out at the last minute, of us deciding to do this. There's a lot of work. I scroll back up. So it's a whole there. Okay, John is very good about following the FAR. Whenever he's good about recompeting, I'll say that. He follows FAR like it's nobody's business. This is not this is a recompete for the incumbent, and he wants at least to solicit and see who in industry can do this job than the incumbent. He's very good about that. I've spent time with him. not time, but I've tracked something that he pushed out to move the incumbent off.
You
And he
know,
had, is it service disabled or is it just all? Is it all?
no, this is all service disabled one. But now that I'm thinking about it, I'm gonna try something here.
Okay. Well, if you send me the link on that one, I'll take a look at. Well,
Yeah, because these guys are the ones that. Oh crap! I'm on the wrong version. Report builder. These are the guys that a lot of times do the data entry themselves, or they have an underling do it or something.
Yeah.
Whatever. 31. Let's just get contract ID PID. And then I want contract identification. That's probably not what I want. Contract information, email address. All right. Just for shits and giggles, let's try this. Let's try this. Qualify, none. Qualify, select, qualify, ID, value. Let's just see if that works. Now let me just run it. Maximum data is 12 years. Whatever. Their machine. A cool last name, by the way.
Yeah. So you're sorting by him or what he's written.
I'm trying to, yeah. So if you know the guy, we can look at every single contract that he's. Yeah, nothing came up. All right, well, it was worth a shot.
Now, if you send that to me, I'll take a look at who.
So you want
the one you just said, the commit for Bragg. So I'm sure all my brothers and sisters that are in logistics are going to go after it, but it's at least to look at, and I can.
Well, if they're not following it already, I just IM'd it to you in LinkedIn.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, if they haven't been following it, I mean, it's been out for 3 months, so it looks like it's. Yeah, I don't. It doesn't seem like it's very big. Look, there's only 5 rows for labor categories, and they didn't add the labor categories. So, yeah, there was another one that was interesting too. There was one that was like, I think it was the vehicle escorting, which I thought was interesting. A lot of construction.
Yeah, for me for the construction, I know I need to get my general contractor license here. So
generators.
It's something I'm looking to explore, just because you have to follow all of the OSHA rules.
This one's been interesting. This like Trex thing, and because there's a lot of stuff, and this is got a long due period, right? So it's for special forces, which is always fun. This is only pre-solicitation, isn't it? I'll send you this one too.
Yeah, you can send me that one too. I have more than one strategic partner that wants into the Marine Corps. So,
Chris Bassey is, him, right? He's always looking for small businesses that can do some work up there. Evasion resistance training. This could be fun. Oh, this is old. See, this is
yeah.
Okay.
They don't clear. Well, what happens is that's contract specialist or contracting officer forgets to put it in inactive, right?
Yeah. So a lot of times I filter by the dates.
Yeah.
But then I'm afraid I'm going to miss something. So it's like, can I do a custom date of, 1/1/2023, and then do whatever 12/31/2028. Yeah. All right, so we should only get live things now. So Polaris Ranger, what is that even?
That vehicle. It is a small.
It's like a kind of a Ranger Cub, or
yeah, it's like a Super Gator.
Like a souped up golf cart.
Yes.
Ooh, I might know somebody who does this.
They're just looking for a specific, how many do they want? One?
Yeah. And they want a roof on it, and they want a windshield. Oh, come on now. Really? Oh, a clear.
Yeah, so I'm surprised they just didn't see. Is this
Yeah,
small
they had it
business?
on all these cleanse. Yeah.
Is this small business? Is this small business, or is it too Polaris?
What an overkill on this. Jeez.
Is it small business, or is it?
Yeah, no,
Polaris?
I mean, all these are SDVOSBs.
Oh,
All
okay.
of them are. Oh, they're supposed. I mean, if they're classified that's the parameter I put on it, right here.
Yeah. Okay. So that
Yeah.
is a specific vehicle. Like I would have to go VIN. Yeah, it's probably okay to get to earlier if I was been kind of tracking that, but you have to get permission from these vendors to resell, right? You have to have a resale.
Yeah.
You have to have you're aware of, you have to get that resale letter. There's no resale letter here in North Carolina, but the government makes you get a certified resale letter from whoever.
So this is the contractor escort vetting.
I know. Well, I should reach out to the guy that used to do this before. It was Jacobs, and they've had past performance on it. If you can send me that, I will reach out to my friend that used to do this escort service and see if he wants to partner up. He works at Jacobs. When I was on base, there was a.
I got one. I got a little project. Yeah. So what was it? Escort vetting?
Yeah, escort vetting.
All right, let's try something here.
I know Jacobs, a large prime, one of their deputies used to have a business that did that. So back in like 2013. So I have to reach out to him and be like, hey, I know we talk occasionally, but it's more like hi, fly by. But I have to be like, hey, would you guys be interested in teaming with me to win this one?
Mm-hmm.
Right. Because I know they have the past performance in it.
Escort vetting showed up at none of the keywords. Let's do that other one there real quick, the Polaris Ranger, and then I should probably.
Yeah, that's gonna pop up. Like they have Polarises. They have Polarises all over base. I got in trouble for ordering not through the regular.
So these are probably all the authorized resellers. Cruise car. There we go.
Well, that's a good list. So
yeah,
that might be helpful. Yeah, send me. Well, sorry, I'm commanding you to do things when you get to
all good. Yeah, no, but again, there's just a wealth of gold, a wealth of information in SAM.gov if you know what you're doing and know specifically what to look for. So you can drill down into keywords from the description. Again, it's all predicated on the cognizant KO or contract specialist, whatever. Keying in the right words. I'm just trying to get to like the North Carolina bucket, right?
Sure.
Oh, I missed it. There's some in Asheville. I think it was on the bottom of page 6. Pinehurst. Pinehurst. It looks like where all that stuff's being done. Dang. What is? Oh, for the forestry.
Yeah. So
or,
I got
DHS.
I got a friend who wants to retire in Pinehurst. He's 35 years old. He went out.
35. Dang.
He went out to Pinehurst and golf one weekend. And he's like, when I get in my 50s, I'm going to retire in Pinehurst. I can just have him retire in Pinehurst now. manage his contract for me.
Yeah, just sell some Polaris vehicles, right?
Yeah.
All right, my friend. Well, I got to bounce.
Okay, it was good, John. I appreciate the look and the handful of things.
Yeah,
the one report that you built. Will you hang that somewhere, or which one?
Yeah, I'll email it to you. What I'm going to do is I'm going to post this on YouTube and then probably blast it on LinkedIn. Tag you. That's cool.
Yeah.
Again, because this stuff is like my bread and butter, and my value proposition is I save people like you and other prospective clients like just tons of time. I mean, whatever you're looking for, but
the tools available do save you time. I'm a big proponent in using tools. Like you saw me talk about ChatGPT and Google's GPT program. Like I'm a huge proponent, especially as a solo entrepreneur. Like, you know, not having that time and that, you know, allows. So I think when I'm prepared to teach in the next few years, I'm going to like take it from soup to nuts. Like, this is how you do it. This is what you want to do. And I'm not going to sell them to just join a package with John King. It's just going to be more like, do not forget these things.
Yeah.
When you started, right? Always do this. Now, if you get overwhelmed, then by all means, go find a consultant. But if you can go down this path, this is what you want to do to be successful.
Well,
right?
and I think, you know, and we've talked about this before about kind of narrowing that focus. Because if you're looking for, you know, again, I think you're narrowing the focus with service-disabled veteran set-asides, but, you know, you see the amount of different work. You got roofing contracts, you got like, you know, resellers of products, you have, you know, services, logistical type of services, and you had, you know, drivers, you know, people that ferry people around. So, again, I think it is important to, because again, you're going to need that past performance. And how do you get that past performance is always kind of, you know, the challenge, because, you know, you have, you know, your career in the military and you did that and you got your network of people. But what they're really looking for is, you know, somebody who's done it before and been paid.
Yeah.
So whether that's a commercial. So a lot of those ones, it might be good to find those teaming companies.
It's teaming agreements, right?
Mm-hmm.
Virtual teaming that I have, right? And so I went down that Prime route, but I'm at the service disabled AA hub zone Prime route. I'm at Primes that have won. I'm not saying I'm not going to go after a BAE Systems or a Boeing or a Booz Allen or Jacobs, right? But you got to know somebody in that organization to be able to get that relationship built. You know what BAE Systems said in an Eric Coffee podcast was like, do your homework before you come to my table. Don't come to my table and just be like, hey, I heard your boss systems. That's not how we say it. Right? That was her number one pet peeve, know how to say our system. But then make sure you align yourself to their lines of effort, right? So their line of effort is maybe it's they build a tank, or maybe they're building a ship, or they're providing precision guided weapons to the Air Force. Well, know that system, build your capability around that system, and then give your capability statement to the small business office there. Then you might get a phone call. But if you just try to go in just like a blanket, it's like a resume, right? You just try to go.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, precisely, right? It's like kind of the, you know, going like on the flip side of the OSTBU, right? That's like the SBLO, small business liaison officer for the Booz Allens, the BAEs, the Jacobs, whatever. They all have those people. But yeah, doing your homework, know the contract that you want to work on, but then also finding the technical leads, the project program managers on those leads, because those are the person who are going to tell the SBLO that they need the requirement. Yeah. And then the SBLO is going to be like, hey, look at this. We just got a service disabled veteran-owned, minority-owned business. That checks like 3 boxes there. So, you know, so again, it's really a team approach, right? You know,
it is definitely a team approach. And on a longer range, like, you know, 2-year, 18, you know, a 2-year mark or 3-year mark or, you know, 4-year mark of like trying to do business with the federal government. You know, if you've seen the federal government is inspecting itself going, we need more small businesses. Well, the access that you don't give us right away is preventing, you know, I'm different. I'm built different. I'm going to win. But my peer that is just a hub zone or 8A, not 8A, a hub zone or minority owned, a women owned business that doesn't have service disabled underneath them, year 2, they're probably like, wow, I'm gonna stay commercial. I'm gonna do something else because they're not making any money. You know what I mean?
Sure. I mean, you know, it's a struggle for sure, but I think it's worthwhile. You just got to have faith and be persistent, and you know, keep.
I think persistence is the key, right? Yeah. Very persistent, and then using the data. Last year when you talked to me, I was in like emergency, like I was in chaotic phase instead of like really taking the data going, ooh, the data tells me this. And I wasn't prepared to receive the data, right? I was just more prepared to use, I was just prepared to be a blunt object and beat my way into the federal government, which you can't do. Do I have an 06 colonel friend retired that got into the VA doing like a Scrum SharePoint package? I do. He was the lowest bidder. He got a W, but I don't see him on LinkedIn talking about future work.
No, those people normally don't do that, as they shouldn't. But
well, I'm always asking for future work. Hey, who wants the partner? Who wants to do this? Let's do this.
Sure. But I think from the other side, they don't want to have everybody that's like, hey, I'm a janitorial company, but I want to do this thing with you guys. And it's like,
yeah, I got you.
But I can imagine all the dumb calls they get a lot of times. And so, and I know they get them because a couple of my buddies are, now they're like chiefs at DARPA. Now he's at Space Force actually, but some of the calls he tells me he gets, it's just like, people are like, hey, give me a contract. I just got in SAM.gov. It's like, you know what I mean? It's just like,
I just
don't waste my time.
Yeah,
like tell me that you have something that aligns with my mission and my specific requirement right now.
Did you? Sorry, the report you're about to send, is it you? It's still general. Like I can filter by location, right?
No, location's not in it at all. Okay. Yeah, but you could build your own.
Yeah,
just following. Yeah, so
I guess I'll build my own. I got a guy down in El Paso, Fort Bliss, that looking.
I'll tell you what, I'll send you what I had, and you give me like a list of 3-4 agencies, and then we can do a little bit more into like the types of set asides.
Yeah, right? It's still gonna be service to say, but I was just wondering.
Well, what I'm saying is what I could do is I get number of bidders. I can get like if it's best value or trade off, right? Best value, trade off, or lowest price technically acceptable.
Oh, you're talking about.
What I'm saying? Yeah, once I get an agency, then I can start getting some into the weeds a little bit about, if it was a set aside. Well, all of those were set aside.
Those are all set asides. I'm not as good at pivoting as you are, but I do have a friend that can pivot. So that table that you just built will be good enough for us for me and him to like bust up the agency. Like if it is the VA, okay, then. Or if it is the DOD, I mean, I already know I'm the Marine Corps. I'm right here. So
you could filter it by the NACE code. Again, so I think looking at the NACE code for the stuff that you're trying to do, rather than just look at all the agencies with all the NACE codes, look at the NACE codes with those service disabled set asides. And again, you might be looking at FBI or the random Department of Transportation one.
Right.
So, and then once you kind of have a little target of a couple agencies, then we can do a really deep dive into them, looking at how they're awarding and then specifically looking at when those contracts expire.
Right.
And then ideally we can find the old solicitation and then know what kind of past performances they are. And then we can kind of, go from there. But I got to bounce. I got something else in 4 minutes.
Yeah, man. Go do
Don,
your thing.
thanks so much, buddy.
All right, man. Take care.
Peace.
Bye.